call. We are going to start out tonight with Brianna Johnson, who just ranked up to senior gold. Huge congratulations. We are so pumped and excited for you. And I know that you have just been rocking it, just showing up. You've been leading your team. You have duplication happening. You're posting constantly. You're doing your daily IPAs. Like, it is so encouraging to see that work bringing fruit here. And so we want to hear, Jordan just said, who are the new golds on tonight? Do we have any to shout out really quick? Anyone? Okay, you can throw it in the chat if you need to add it in. But Brianna is going to share some tips or just a bit of her story with us on what she's doing right now.
Okay, thanks for having me. Okay, so when Hannah asked me to share, I was trying to think back to when I ranked gold in June of 2022. So I have been gold for the last 6 months, and I was thinking back to the last 6 months and things that I have done or what I have shifted, fears that I have overcome, things that I've learned. And so I think the biggest thing that I have done since going gold and pretty much just having customers to now being senior gold and having 3 people rank up this last month has been, I have been starting to treat this business like a business. I think that's the biggest shift that I've made. And some of the things that I have done to start treating the business like a business is I have set work hours each day. So I work in the school system. So I work 8 to 4 every day. And so I wake up an extra hour and a half early. I get my IPAs done. I respond to messages. I do my posts. And then I work again. My boyfriend gets off work at 6. So I work from like 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And then again, like before I go to bed, I'll respond to a couple messages. So I think setting the work hours has been crucial to treating the business like a business. And alongside that, like Hannah said, doing my IPAs, I think a big thing for me is I started using a tracker. I am a checklist person. If I say I'm going to do something on a list or something, I will do it. So for me, that's what's worked. And it's kept me super consistent with posting and messages and making sure I'm doing training throughout the week. And so IPA tracker. I think one of the biggest shifts from doing this to treating it like a business is starting to share boldly about the business. Instead of just sharing that I have more energy, which is great, and sharing that I have less cravings and those amazing things that it's done for me, I have started to share that now when I go get groceries at the end of the month, I don't have to check my bank account. I have started to share how I am able to travel now more often because of the business. Like, just being super bold about what this has done for me, I think has shown others like that they can do it too, or that they want it too. Alongside sharing boldly, I have asked probably in the last 3 or 4 months, every single one of my level ones to do a shout out for me. And when they've said no, I've said, okay, then let's host an event. And so I think that has really helped my growth the last month. In December, I was 219 points. And then I just finished January at 335. And I think a lot of that is because of the events that I've done. And then shifting my reach outs to seeing if they want to hear about the business and the products versus just the products, I think has really been helpful, because it puts a bug in their ear about that this can make money. You can make money doing this. And then once I have found people to share, truly just pouring into them, showing them what it looks like to do this, and just truly being a leader. We're all here because we're leaders. And so just making sure that the people that we are sharing with really truly know like what we do and how it works, and that they can do it too. And then the last couple of things I've done to start treating this business like a business has been to stop scrolling mindlessly and to scroll with intention of building connection. And like if I see someone has a really cool recipe, I will personally message them and ask them for it instead of just saying, oh, that's cool, and continuing on. I think that has been really helpful with starting more connection and helping people to see my posts. And then the last thing, I kind of talked on this anyway, but show up in the chats, show up in the calls, show up in the trainings, not only for yourself to build yourself up, but also to help others see like what you're doing. And just doing, I've heard all of these things before. I'm sure you guys have too. Everything I'm saying is probably nothing new to you, but I think there's a difference between hearing them and doing them. That's the hard part. And so I think that that is a huge, huge thing for me. And then some things that I have overcome and learned the last 6 months from being gold to now senior gold is that I have less fears about failing, because during the last 7 months, I sat right under 200 points for probably 4 of these months. And I could have decided that I wasn't going to get any more people, or I wasn't going to find my business builders, or that this just wasn't for me. And so I think that that fear has obviously gone away. I no longer fear that. I know I can do the hard things. And I think part of that has been just that boldness and not being scared of being bold as well. So just know that if you do the things daily and you do not give up, you will see growth. You might not see growth in your time, but you will see it in God's time, and he will do what is good for you. And then just know that there are people out there like us. We just need to find them. I think that's a big thing that I've learned too, is just people are just waiting for us. So that is what I have. Like I said, it's probably nothing new, but I hope that maybe it lights a fire under you or something like that. So
that is amazing. I love that there's no like earth-shattering information there. It's just what you hear all the time, that consistency and that ownership, and not like fearing failure or how you're going to look. Like you have dove in. Is that how I say it? Like you just went for it. And yeah, Emily says you have a growth mindset. And so it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I hope it's an encouragement for all of you in just knowing where you're at on this journey, and digging in and wrestling with things on the growth that you know you need to move forward. So, okay. So we are going to move in to talking a little bit about influence and adding value and social media, and what does that look like. And I'm just going to preface this by saying I'm not an expert. I have lots of room to improve in this with myself, but I feel like there's just so much on this topic that we can cover. And so I'm hoping that the way that I wrestle with it and try to utilize it is helpful for you guys as well. So let me share my screen. Go back up here. Okay. Is it good? Brianna, you're my person. I get to see you on here. Okay. So influence. What does that mean? Well, first I'm going to go through our goal of social media here. And I might step on some toes here with not being an influencer, but I know Emily has been really passionate about this, and I have really appreciated it, in that showing up in this space to have that as your number one priority, and to be creating content and never shutting your brain off because of what you're posting and your pictures and your feed are going to look like. It will exhaust you. It will burn you out. And that will not be part of your income producing activity that does create and build a sustainable business that why am I drawing a blank on the residual income that comes through this type of business versus the influencer type approach. So we've seen it time and time again. We have sat at tables with other jewels and diamonds who have not seen growth in their business. They might have thousands and thousands of followers, but it's not bringing fruit for their Plexus business. So it is just a part of what we do here with social media, but it is not the part. So just wanted to preface with that as well. Having boundaries, being productive with your time on social media just versus busy, or catching yourself scrolling. Sometimes when a lot of our business is on our phone, we can also start to slip into this burnout mode because we feel like we're working all the time, but it's actually not work. It's just busyness. And so knowing what you're doing ahead of time when you're opening up your app and when you're opening up your phone is really, really critical with what we do. I know personally, something I've done for myself is I shut off social media notifications so that when I am going in to my Facebook Messenger or my Instagram, Facebook, like I'm there for work. I'm not getting distracted. I'm not getting pulled off. Anyways, that's another thing. I already touched on this a little bit, but one ingredient of our recipe of IPA. IPA is income producing activity that consists of posting. But that is just, like I said, one piece of it. We also have our messaging, we have our following up, we have our customer care, and we have our training. So it's a piece of all that we do. And then we're attracting and repelling so that we're speaking to an ideal customer and business builder. If you are speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. So it's really important to be okay sharing something that someone might not like, or it might not be their jam, but that's okay because you will repel those that aren't really not connected and fitting with, and then you're going to attract other people who really do resonate with who you are and your passions and your giftings. On the other side, why is influence important? It's going to raise our leadership lid, increase our retention, we'll have better recruitment, and increase your ability to create business builders. I can't see the chat, so feel free to unmute yourself if you need to. Okay, so what is influence? Influence is adding value. And how do we increase it? By adding value. So what does that mean? I know sometimes we can just get lost in that, so I'm hoping to really break this down for us. We can add value from our character, our attitude, and our words. So that is who we are. And it's also what we do, giving, serving, how we're spending our time, our actions. And it matters that it can be uplifting and not subtracting. I'll get into that a little more soon, but that is kind of the value that we have to offer the world, and the people that we are entrusted with that are curious and in our world, our network, they're watching you and they want to hear from you with your giftings and talents and all of that. So we're going to try to narrow that down even more a little bit here. But in the realm of social media, if we don't have influence, then our messaging and our posting will not be as effective. So we're going to maximize our efforts and our leverage on social media for that little piece of the pie and our ingredients. So one thing that we want to do when we are on social media is being a giver. We don't want to be the consumer. That is 95% of the rest of the people out there. They are on there looking at like, what can I get out of this? What is going to entertain me? What can I learn? Someone might need to mute themselves. I don't know. Am I supposed to be doing that?
I'm trying to figure out who it is. I think, yeah, not sure. I'll keep looking.
Okay. I think I saw Tracy.
Tracy for me. Tracy.
Okay, can you guys still hear me? Okay, so we're gonna be the giver, not the consumer. And so when you hear people say like, I'm just sick of social media, or I don't love that, it's honestly a lot of because they are filling their mind with people who are subtracting value, people who aren't giving, or it's draining. So that is something that we get to show up with passion and purpose and excitement, that we have this platform to speak encouragement and inspiration and something for people to laugh at or whatever it might be. Okay. So like you said, like I said here, teaching something, making them laugh, inspiring them, and then don't subtracting with your content, but adding. Think of your favorite people that you follow. So this is a really good exercise. I asked some of our jewels what came up, in a consistent theme from what I heard back from people was they're prioritizing their business, They're consistent. And I put that in all capitals for a reason. I'll talk about that in a minute. They bring fun. They're relatable. And I wanted to specify on this a little bit, like we want to be real. We want to be messy, and not just all put together all the time. But with that, we also want to show some ownership or overcoming. We can handle the mess. We are remaining focused on our goal. You don't want to bring someone else who's going to be a hot mess express who can't figure it out, right? So we want to be posting to who we want to be attracting. They are people that we follow are confident, they're happy, positive, and they offer solutions. So that goes into solving a problem. And a lot of what we put out there should go through this filter of what problem can I solve for this person? So what do you know more about than most people? And I think this is really important to know, like if you're reading a book, most people aren't going to read that book. So share something that you are taking away from it. What can you talk about with your girlfriend for hours? Like that could be something that you hone in on. For me, it's like I could talk about pregnancy all day long. So I tried that for a little bit on social media. Now that I'm not pregnant, it's not so much on the forefront of my mind, but just know that what you try to like focus on doesn't always have to be. It can shift with your seasons as well. So many people discredit themselves. You can go grab something. I'm single parenting tonight, just FYI. My kids have a special night watching the movie. So many people will discredit themselves here. Like if fitness is your jam, sewing is your jam, eating macros or counting those, homeschooling, sourdough for me, like I am not an expert when it comes to sourdough, but I love talking about it because it's something I'm learning. And so not letting that hold me back because I don't know the ins and outs of baking my bread and the sourdough, but offering for the people who do see that and they're like, oh, that is something I'm wanting to try. Or like, that's just one step ahead of the people who haven't picked up sourdough yet, right? So I hope that's an example on just like simplifying. I had a friend who was way into clean eating and what she brought into her home, but she like felt like she had no value to offer. And a lot of times I think we hold ourselves up there because we follow people who are the experts. We are surrounded by people where that is their jam. And so we kind of shy away from it versus seeing it as like, oh no, I'm sharing something that is helpful for other people who are not in that world. Okay. And then I did skip over. I wanted to say a little bit more about not subtracting, because these are some things that can be subtracting. If you are inconsistent, if you're self-focused, if you're negative and complaining. So those are immediate drainers. People don't want to see that. They don't want to hear that. And that will be the quickest way to lower your influence. Okay. And what does it look like? Going a little more in depth with adding your influence and your value. And these might seem kind of silly to some of you, but I just feel like we should put it out there. Social media becomes more of a place to document. It's more than a place to document your kids and your family and your mom, your grandma, your dog. Like you want it to be a place, like I said, where yes, it's part of your life, but it has to go a step farther of like, okay, I went out with my kids today. That's great. And my mom would love to see that. But if I want to try to carry that into adding value, then I'm going to say, hey, there's this awesome park that has this, this, and this, or you can go do these 5 things for free with your kids here in our town. Like I am taking step 1 was, okay, we were out at a park, but step 2 is why do people care about that? So another thing I wanted to make on a side note on here is don't reshare posts. You can take some time to actually copy, intro the person that you're talking about. Graphics have a place, but make it rare. or take that extra effort on putting your own picture with some of the words that you found helpful on the previous graphic, or talk on your camera, and then you can post a little picture below it, and that makes it more personal, more relatable, versus just that walking infomercial. Like, no one pays attention to the infomercials on TV, right? So we want to be more than that, and using pretty pictures. So side note on that. Number 2, be interested in other people, not just interesting. I think that's a lot of our default of just like, look at me, this was fun, this is so cool. And that can go so far. I'm definitely someone who will do that, but you also need to have in there that adding value piece of, like I said, part 2 of why do they care? Number 3, get good at connecting. So getting the other person talking by being genuinely interested, asking good questions, genuinely complimenting people, relating to them, finding that common ground, learn from them. Like, those are all ways to really be social on social media. And then talk like they are in your kitchen. So if you're sending a message, or you are having a follow-up message, or you're sending a voice message, use your verbiage, use your posture, use your voice. So just adding that in there too. And then I heard this from Brittany Howard, like, trust, no factor equals more willing to invest. And you'll hear that often. A lot of people will come to you when they feel connected to you, when they trust you, when they know you. Number 4, consistency. This is imperative for building influence. It shows I believe in what I'm offering and where I'm heading for potentials in my current team. So then I'm going to go in a little farther with some examples here. What does it look like when you are adding value, solving a problem for people? So I shared a little bit about this. Part 1, you have some inspiration, something that you're thinking about, like, oh, I could use that. I should post about that. Or you hear an objection. I love using my posts, or some of my posts, whether I'm talking on my stories or I'll form a post from it, from someone who gives me an objection of the reset is too expensive, or I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head. I don't know. So we can talk through chat if anyone else has some ideas on objections that you can speak to. But part 2 of it is then, how can I make this helpful for them? So I'm giving an example here. Number 1, if you just list out a laundry list of all the things, Plexus has helped, XYZ, and the kitchen sink, like, that just becomes a genie in the bottle, and it's not relatable. Versus if you can just pull out one line, and I gave a story here. I didn't want to get out of bed to fix my kids' breakfast. My hormones were so messed up. I was in a ragged postpartum haze, but see this drink in my hand, it came to my rescue. I feel alive again. Like that, then someone is sitting on the other side and being like, she sees me. That is exactly what I'm going through right now. Part 2 up here, or I'm sorry, number 2, starting your post with the solution doesn't draw people in, versus when you identify the problem, and then you can go in and talk more about it. So I just had this post the other day, and I can't tell you how many conversations I'm in about people who are trying stuff to get rid of their skin issues. And I started it out by saying, so you've tried the creams, medications, switched the soaps and lotions, even implemented diet changes, started with a good probiotic, and the skin issues still prevail. So apparently I didn't get very many likes on it, you guys, but I have more conversations from that post alone than I have in months. So anyways, I think I had one last thing. I think I mentioned this, but you want to be who you want to attract. Know who you're influencing. Know who you are posting to. I wanted to just share this little story. Earlier in my business, I remember I had the sweetest, gentlest, beautiful community and team of women who were very people focused. They were scared to step on toes. They just wanted to dance around a little bit, versus like a drive, someone who was like in it with the grit. They didn't have they didn't aspire to do the hard things. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, I love these people and it's so awesome, but I want someone who's driven. I want a leader. I want, just started thinking more of these characters. And recognized that a lot of my posts were actually more about the community. They were focused on helping people. It was very gentle. And so then I kind of got over this mindset issue of like, I'm going to talk about the opportunity. I'm going to get over this money mindset issue and know that it's a real thing. I'm going to start sharing about what this money is covering in my life, paying down debt, covering the gas and groceries and so forth. So I realized like avoiding the numbers and not talking about the opportunity was actually not bringing in business builders that I would love to be working with. So I think that's all I have. Are there questions, thoughts, comments that you guys want to chime in with?
Well, when you were speaking kind of at the beginning, I thought about a situation that Jordan and I both went through on separate occasions where the way that we were posting was like us, like I was posting to the frugal mom who really loves to save money and budget and bargain and find things for cheap, and Jordan was like talking about her fast-paced life and like the way that she works and all the things. And I remember we both got commented, like we both had somebody come and approach us, like a high ranking person within Plexus, like, and they both told, this girl told us both something along the lines of like, hey, what you're posting isn't relatable, like you need to change it. The thing is, we didn't ask her for her opinion, but the thing is, like, she also, it kind of made us think like, well, gosh, like it made us rethink, well, how are we posting? And I remember her saying like, you're only going to be attracting people like that. And I don't know, I just wanted that to be an encouragement to you. Like, I didn't let that stop me. Jordan didn't let that stop her either. Like, you are who you attract who you are. And so if you have people who push back on you and the way that you're sharing on your social media and like tell you need to be a certain way, I just encourage you, you be you. And that's going to be what is like, that's going to fill you up. That's going to be fun for you. It's not going to create burnout and overwhelm and stress, like trying to figure out how to fit this mold and how to be this person. But I think if you can really lean into the things that you really love and the things that light you on fire, it doesn't matter if a few people are going to say, hey, you shouldn't be posting like that. So I just want to encourage you, because I think social media is a place where we become vulnerable, and it is scary to put ourselves out there. But if you're posting from your heart and in a way that's like others focused and it's fun, and I don't know if you saw in the chat there, but like that's something that John Maxwell talks about. He talks about like, make fun of yourself. Like, don't be so like rigid that you have to like look perfect and have this perfect polished post and story. Like, just be you and have fun. That's all.
Yeah, and I'll add on that as well that I was listening to a podcast that was sharing about how you have who you are, and that's our natural, that's where we should be running with, but then don't be afraid to also step into like, okay, I'm going to put on some earrings and some makeup and some lipstick and have my hair curled and show up and show people that I can still like operate in this avenue. But if you're always with your makeup on and your hair curled and done up, don't be afraid to step into the other role of like showing some more real and messy and raw. So just challenging yourself and showing more of like, I don't know, that you can still operate outside of just being a hot mess express or being all perfect all the time. So poor Seth. Do you guys have any questions or thoughts on any of that? Okay. Well, thank you all for being here tonight, and so proud of you for being at the gold and above level. Huge accomplishment to you all. I'm really proud of you guys. All right.
Thank you for all that you put into this, Hannah. That was really, really good. Thank you for your PowerPoint. I know you put a lot into that. Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye, everybody.